Hi beautiful people, my name is Teresa. Welcome to my channel, and today we are going to learn about eyeshadow blending. So getting down to the nitty-gritty, first up, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell to learn when a new video has been posted, and if at the end you like this, give it a big thumbs up. So if you're wondering why your eyeshadow doesn't quite look like it does when you come from a makeup artist, well, one, they're trained and qualified and have got experience, and two, it comes down to your blend. Now, we're not expecting it to look as amazing as it does when you've been to a professional makeup artist. I'm not a professional, I am self-taught, but what I can do is teach you about blending. So over the next few weeks, we're going to work our way through down to how you hold your brushes, how to create the gradient and that air-blown look. It just takes a little bit of time, and hopefully through this you'll learn how to do it. So you've got to learn to crawl before you can walk, and we're going to go through all the different processes over the next few weeks. But today we're doing a one and done look, and the reason that we're doing that is through one eyeshadow shade we'll create different tones, we'll create depth to it, we'll create lightness, and if you can do that with one shade, then you're more than 3/4 there. So today we're using the Pretty Grunge palette by Huda Beauty, and we will be going in with the shade Fearless. Great name, because sometimes you've got to be fearless when doing your eyeshadow. That old saying that you hear all the time, trust the process, it really is true. So today I'm using the MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre. It's my holy grail. I know it works. I know there's a lot more out on the market, but being menopausal, I have a bit of discoloration on my eyelids. This not only evens all of that out, it gives me a solid base to work from. Having hooded eyes, it also means that it doesn't crease and it doesn't move. If you do not prime, you absolutely need to, and that's going to be your first problem. So just a flat brush. I'm not going to read out all the names of the brushes that I use during this, mainly because my eyesight, I told you last time, I can't actually read the numbers on them. I will list them down below in the comments, and afterwards I will also do my base makeup and I'll list everything that I use there. So again, going in, eye cover, it doesn't need to be super thick, but you do want it covered. So I go all the way from my mobile lid up to the top of and under my brow bone, and then I do like to set it only very, very lightly. Literally this brush has nothing on it, I'm just going with what is already on there, just tapping over the top of that. So first up we are going in with a fluffy brush. It's not a super thick fluffy brush. Tapping in just either side. Don't dig your brush into it, don't gouge it in, just tap it in gently. Tap off the excess. So what that does is helps reduce any fallout that you may have, preventing anything falling down. Now today I've got nothing on, I do have something on my face. I have the Multitasker illuminating primer. That's it, just to even out my skin tone a bit. I normally am quite comfortable doing my base makeup, then my eyeshadow. If you are new to it, if you are worried about fallout, obviously always do your eyes first because it's easier to clean up. So we've tapped that off, holding your brush. This is the barrel of your brush. We are not holding it up here. We're not getting a death grip on it. We're holding it quite towards the end of the barrel and loosely. So hold it like a cup of tea. Keep these fingers off. Curve your finger like you're holding a cup of tea. What that does is allow you to be gentle. So you're just going in. I go in, hooded eyes obviously. I go in dead straight, looking straight ahead. And I'm just going and just starting to place that where I can see it. Just gently. Now this is for hooded eyes, in particular hooded and saggy eyes. You need to look straight ahead in your mirror, because if you're closing your eyes, if you're going down, you'll open it and the shade will disappear. In order to make your shade visible and to see all the hard work we're about to do, you've got to be able to see it when you're looking straight ahead at the camera. Now I'm just going, you can see this here. This is not actually my crease. This is my sag and my hood. Look at that. She's saggy, she's mobile. That is my hood. Now with the end of your brush, push in here. See that there? That's where my crease is. That's my eye socket. That's where my crease is. Not this here. This is my hood. So again, poke, just don't take your eye out. Just push in gently. That's where your crease is. That's where it should be. We're redefining our crease because we have hooded, saggy eyes. You may not have a lot of lid space down here, so you want to create that. So even if your eyes are great, if you've got quite noticeable mobile lids, still just for this purpose, go in and press in there and feel where that is. Now as you can see, and I'll zoom in, as you can see, that's where I've placed this shadow. So again, we're just going in very lightly. This is just our first layer. This is creating a transition shade. Obviously as we move along and go into more in depth, more different shades and tones, we'll create it from there and I'll explain a bit more. But what a transition shade does, normally when you're using multiple shades, it's essentially exactly what it says. It transitions from one shade to the next to the next. So if you are using a very dark brown shadow, for example, and then an almost white, it's going to be a really harsh line. So to create that airbrush blend, we need a transition shade so that a darker tone can blend into that shade and then that can blend into the next to create that transition through instead of the harsh line. Okay, so back to this. And we just work really gently. And this is not going to be a fast process today. We're slowing it right down, getting you to get used to the movements, to the pressure, to the practice of it. You can do it really quick once you're used to it. So just barely touching now, like still right down the end, just barely touching. And it's sort of windshield wiper motions, as you quite often see people say, just right on the edge of where we've placed this initial amount. I haven't gone too far out here, and I'll dip back in and just do the same. It's just the lightest pressure. Now for this layer, I'm just cleaning off. I've got a microfiber cloth in front of me right now. There's multiple tools that you can use. You can use a cleaner like this that I've crammed the lid on. Okay, you can use a brush cleaner like this. This is just essentially, what is it? Just a liner type thing that you can clean your brush on. There's plenty of them. You can get them on Amazon for a couple of dollars. I've got a microfiber cloth. Look how grotty that is. It's got to go in the wash. Just cleaning my brush off on it now and going again just over the top of that, because what we're doing is essentially buffing this shade out a bit. As I said, this normally we'd be using different shades for it, but again, you've got to learn to crawl before you can walk. Now we're going to go in. I'm not using a lot of brushes today. I will probably use 2 or 3. Same brush, dipping back into that shade, again tapping either side of this brush. Tap off once. Again at the end, look straight ahead. Poke just on the outside of your iris. Poke. Place your brush there and tap it in. Tap it in a few times. You can see that's darkening it now. Just tap in gently, not too hard. So you can see we've created a slightly deeper shade now. Again, as you can see, I'm looking straight ahead the whole time. And across. Now clean off that brush. And we're bringing the brush now to this angle, because what that'll do is help buff that out. Just going over the edges. Okay. So as you can see, we're starting to create that bit of depth. Now, out to the corner here. Again on the edge, let's just start to buff it out. Now, because we're doing this before we're doing our base products, it doesn't matter how messy we get here. So if you want to drag it out here, for example, do it. So just, it's still quite light pressure. Okay, so we've got that gradient happening. Now, I'm getting a slightly, you can see this brush, it's quite fluffy. This brush is a lot more dense and thick. This, we're going to darken up our outer corner with. So, tap in directly onto the head of it, tap off, and now we're really going to stamp in this outer third on the lid this time. Dip back in. Now what we're doing here is darkening up this outer third here, this V area, and what that does, particularly if you have hooded eyes, one, it creates dimension and that blown out tonal toner, because we're not only going tonal that way, we're going tonal this way and creating depth. And also, again, back to having extremely hooded eyes, this hood, I'm trying to create illusion and push that back. These sit quite forward, you can see that on here. My eyelids tend to sit quite close to my lash line, if not on my lash line some days. So what we're doing is creating shadow and depth and pushing this back and creating a lift by creating depth there. If you hear a noise in the background, my dog Jelly is just outside the door here and is having a bit of a snooze and snoring a little bit. So again, stamp in there, and I'm poking it sort of up and under that hood area right now, just essentially mapping out where I want it to be. So you can see that's a bit of a triangular shape, or a wedge in actual fact. The depth of that there. Going back in again, original brush, right at the end, on the tip, just over the edge of that line where the harshness is, just over the edge. So again, look, I could do this all in one go quite easily, but I'm just doing these layers to teach you how to blend. Just the edge of it, slight tiniest circular motion and slight windshield wiper motion. Don't go in super hard. We're just tickling the colour. We're tickling the colour and teasing it out to create a blown out effect. Now in here where this is a bit darker, I'm going to pull that in a bit further. So slightly more pressure. And just pulling it in and following the curve a little bit. Back around the edge, just tickling it. Now, what you can do is go in and clean off your brush every now and then. And what that'll do is bring you back to a clean edge to start again. Tilting it down now. So by doing this and keeping your hands at the end, what it does is allows you really good control over how you're pushing the colour around on your eyelid. Your eyelid's your canvas. So now we've got this harsh line in here. So we're just doing the same, just slightly pulling that forward. And it's just sort of like a flick, fast flick motion. Oh, excuse me, weird noises. I make a lot of weird bodily noises. All the weird bodily noises. So as you can see, we're flicking that out and that's creating the gradient there. Cleaning off my brush again, and now going up here, right on the edge. You can see we've got that blown effect happening. Now what you can do, given that we're only using one eyeshadow colour, what you can do now is you can leave it like that, but I want to really set my lid here. So what we want to do now is set in here. Now you can leave it like that, but I want to ensure that nothing creases there. So what I am doing is just using a translucent powder. This is the LYS Triple Fix, I think it's called. This is the translucent shade. A flat brush, just essentially loading it up and patting it in there. And that's just placing that in the areas, it's helping carve out my brow a little bit, in the areas that I don't have any shadow. Okay, back to the original fluffy brush now. And again, and like I said, look, we're spending our time doing it today. This is about practice makes perfect. So just go over that. If you want to intensify anywhere, you can at this stage, but at the moment I'm pretty happy with where it's at. What I'm going to do now is do the rest of my makeup, do this eye really quickly, and then we'll come back and do the under eyes. Okay, it's a bit of a trial at the moment. There is so much noise going on outside. Our rubbish man has been late, so rubbish and recycling have been picked up. My neighbour, who is directly at the window behind this camera, has just brought his rubbish bin in. My back neighbours, and I live in suburbia, have chickens and have now decided to lay all their eggs now, making a noise. If you hear it all, I'm so sorry. Also, I'll list, as I said, I'll list all the products that I have used down below today. I didn't show it because it's about the eyes, but what I did want to say is I noticed after my first upload, I'm still getting used to this camera, and I realised it had a slight blur mode on it, so I've turned that off now. I think that I have, hopefully I have, so it should be absolutely no filter over the skin. I'm really upset I didn't have time to re-record it. Learning process, we'll get there. Okay, so I have in my waterline, I have used the Charlotte Tilbury Super Nudes, I think it is. Used the brown in my waterline. If you want to just give it a bit more intensity, I don't use pencil eyeliner in my lash line at all, and there is a reason before that, and it is because it's harsher. If you want to open up your eyes, you're concerned, if you want to make the look lighter, or if you are concerned about it closing your eyes up, just use the neutral end. So going in with a flat brush, this is an eyebrow, it's a brow liner brush. I prefer, as opposed to the eyeliner ones which are a bit thinner. These are a bit wider, so going in, again, tapping it off, and I'm just using that to stamp as my eyeliner under my eye. There is never a nice face to be able to pull when doing this, is there, when we're working in our eyes? It's a muscular reflex. So, and just flicking that out at the end. If you like to do liner on your top lids, absolutely go ahead and do it. At this point in time, I don't. Again, it's all down to this. Eyeliner on hooded eyes is always harder. You can do the bat wing style if you know what that is. However, there is absolutely no point once your sag is like this, once your hood is like this, to even attempt it, so I don't. The only time I ever wear eyeliner on my top lids is if I happen to be, which is very rare, wearing lashes and want to elevate that look. Normally if I'm wearing eyeliner, it's just in the centre bit through to here, and I actually stop where my hood comes down. So now going in with the original fluffy brush, as I said, we're keeping it minimal today. Start from the basics. Clean that brush off completely, and now coming down at an angle, we're going to just swipe across to smoke out our eye. What that does is a couple of things. One, it takes away the harshness, creating a softer look for us. Two, If you are worried about creasing under your eye, for example, you can see that this looks harsher than this does. This is a bit more blown out, creating that airbrush look. If you're worried about creasing in this area, the smokiness of this, we should blow out if we're wearing anything under eye. And you don't need to. If you're happy just having upper lids done, that's fine. You can leave underneath your eye completely blank for purposes today, and this is how I do it in any case. But for today's purpose, we're doing upper and lowers. If you're using anything underneath your eye, you're essentially coming down. Most of us will have a little bit of a crease here. Essentially, it's at the bottom of our lash line. What we're doing is blurring out to the bottom of our lash line. And that will stop all sorts of creasing. Just gently back and forth. You can clean off your brush every now and then if you want. But we're just, as they say, the term is smoking it out or buffing it out. Again, creating a softness and a gradient with it. So you go and have a look now, just double check that you're happy with everything. If not, you can touch up at this point. I'm going to add a little bit here. Might have gone a bit far with the concealer as I was doing it. So just touching up anything that needs to. That's essentially it. So going in now, before I use mascara, going in now with some setting spray. I use a lot of setting spray. You will learn to as well. Thank me later. So I just need to add some mascara now. And as you can see, let's have a look before I add the mascara. As you can see, we've got all these different tones through here on both sides. We start out quite light here, and then we like the gradient gets deeper and we create more intensity. Just going to show you some. Oh, I just stabbed my fingers into the eyeshadow palette. I'm just going back in with this powder brush. And like I said, same colour. You can use that as eyeliner along the top should you wish. Okay, I'm not curling my lashes today. You'll see me curl it at some stage. Oh, fluff. Just going in with some Maybelline Sky High. Not going to use too much because this makeup will be coming off after, as I am about to dress, cover myself head to toe in not only sunscreen but a wrist length rashi vest, a cap, some longer shorts and probably leggings underneath them, because I'm going to go out. Today's the day that I was talking about on my birthday, going out kayaking and trying to take my dog. And it's going to be, by the time I get there, it's probably going to be around lunchtime. So I am a pale, freckly girl in the Australian sun. What is the best anti-aging product? Sunscreen, not getting sunburnt. And if anyone on here follows me from high school, you will know why I am against getting sunburnt, which I will tell you all about sometime. Quite an embarrassing story that has had long-term ramifications. Might involve cooking oil and falling asleep in the sun in the 80s. If you know, you know. So that is it. As you can see, this is the first step. One eyeshadow. We've created quite a nice smoky eye look. I hope today that you have learnt, go back, watch it again, practice it, learnt to create that gradient to smoke it out. Just remember, hold your brush nice and gently. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to sound off in the comments. Don't forget Tell your mum, tell your sister, tell your friends. Come along, check it out. Let's all go down this journey together. I hope you liked it. Give it a big thumbs up. Next week, we'll start to incorporate another shade into it, some more colour. We'll start to go, but we're keeping pretty neutral, and we'll go from there. Bye.